recording has started, and Jenny will confirm in a minute at the live stream. Yep, we're live, Chair.
Okay, welcome back after our short break. I could just confirm that this meeting is being recorded again and there is live streaming. The members, we have lost Councillor Dawn Black and Councillor Richard Menard because they had other appointments to attend to. So we are on item 9.4, which is the Equalities Mainstreaming Progress Report. The Licensing Board has to provide its own equalities policy. And the officer taking the report is Fiona Stewart. The progress report can be seen on page, or it starts on page 495, but I would draw members' attention to item 7 on page 526, which is a direct reference to the Licensing Board. But I'll hand over to Fiona.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, as the Chair's mentioned, licensing boards are separate public bodies for the purpose of the Equality Act, so we have to have our own equality policy and action plan, but we work alongside Aberdeenshire Council as a public body and also Aberdeenshire Council as Education Authority, which is classed as a separate public body, and we work in partnership with each other so that the equality outcomes that we set are the same across all three bodies, and the progress on meeting those targets and promoting equalities is the same. So we work collaboratively on that. So we have a legal duty every 2 years to either set new equality outcomes, which we did 2 years ago, and they last for a period of 4 years, and 2 years in from that, which is now, we have to publish what's called a progress report. So it's the progress report that's before you today. And as the Chair has indicated, section 7 of that joint progress report relates to the activities of the board. Now, unfortunately, we've had no live case studies to present as part of the report in this year's progress report. However, we have got the election of a new board, training of all board members in equalities, the appointment of Jenny Nicholl as Equality Ambassador for the board. We work to the Council's committee report style, which includes reference to equalities in every agenda, reference to integrated impact assessments, which include equalities issues in every report, and where required, an integrated impact assessment is published alongside the report. You saw that when we were reviewing our gambling policy, and we have a draft integrated impact assessment on the go for the review of our licensing policy statement. So it's quite a straightforward chapter, says a lot about the board. Our action plans, our outcomes we're progressing neatly with. As a board, we don't comply with all of the statutory duties because the board does not directly employ any staff. It is administered by Aberdeenshire Council. So a lot of the statutory duties relate to staff training, that kind of thing, fall under Aberdeenshire Council's duties rather than the board, so it makes it slightly easier for the board. So it's there for approval, consideration and approval, and I'm also asking you to note that the progress report has still to go to the Education and Children's Services Committee for approval by the Education Authority, and ultimately full council for approval by the council. Once approved by all three committees, it will be published on the Aberdeenshire Council website, and we will link to that on the board's equalities page to make sure the information is up to date. Happy to answer any questions. There is an integrated impact assessment on the production of the progress report attached to the report as well, that's been produced by the equalities team, and happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you, Fiona. So have we got any questions or comments? No comments to be made. In that case, can I draw your attention to the recommendations, which are on page 491 of the report. The first recommendation, 1.5.1, does the board wish to make any comment on the draft progress report? So there were no comments made. Recommendation 1.5.2, does the board approve section 7? That's the bit pertaining to the licensing board. In the progress report, do we approve that on behalf of the board?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the second two are the items for noting, as Fiona just said. 1.5.3, does the board note that the progress report also has to be approved by the Education Authority and Aberdeenshire Council in due course? And then 1.5.4 is again noting the board's website will be updated to provide the necessary links to the progress report once it's published by Aberdeenshire Council. Okay, we agree to note these.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And thank you,
Right.
Fiona.
Thank you, Chair.
So item 10, date of next meeting. So we have two dates there. Informal session on the 15th of March. And then the next board meeting is on the 26th of April. Do you want to discuss what we're going to be covering in the informal session, Fiona?
I think Lauren covered it in the policy update report that we're working on an analysis report on the responses from the engagement exercise and some areas in relation to the main issues and other areas that we would want the board to discuss in more depth so that we get a steer from the board as to what to include in the draft policy, which will be put before you April, June, before going out to a formal consultation exercise. So that gives us the time to work up the draft policy to present to you. I think it's likely to be the June board to give us that extra time.
Okay.
And that'll be a face-to-face meeting in Aberdeen. Okay.
So those dates will be in the diary. So can I just confirm that the meeting has now concluded and the recording will be stopped, and thank you for your interest in this business and your participation in the meeting today. Councillor Goodall, you want to come in?
I was just disappointed that Jeff took down Max Headroom and put up Aberdeenshire Council, but that got me thinking, given that we are a non-political body, etc., should we have Aberdeenshire Council backups?
Yes.
It's the official policy. So even although we're a board and we're non-political, we are the Aberdeenshire. We're administered by Aberdeenshire Council, so you are allowed to have that. But that is the official council policy for all public meetings. So it is appropriate. I'm just going to stop the recording now and confirm